At Lowe's Motor Speedway, Jeff Gordon is our leader here with 125 laps to go under caution for the 8th time tonight. It has been an eventful evening here for the NASCAR Sprint Cup cars. Things can happen in a hurry. How about Chad McCumbee having issues after he'd been on pit road?
He already lost the splitter in that accident and stuck in the ground. Oops, who turned the lights out?
If you want to know where his splitter was, it's stuck in the ground here. And watch this guy. I mean, that is the whole splitter minus a few small pieces.
That thing was buried halfway in the ground. We have had a lot of rain here, so the ground was pretty soft.
Yeah, he got a lot of air, though, when he went across that one part, the asphalt there, and he landed.
Jeff Gordon back up front. Remember, he stayed on the racetrack, and as did Mark Martin and Martin Truex Jr. Well, it's been a wild beginning for Jeff Gordon. A year since he won a race. Back on lap 1, he scrapes the wall. Lap 6 got it even harder.
After he hit it the second time, they had to come down pit road under green, lost a lap. It's been a good while trying to get it back, but here he is up front. Takes the lead right here from Martin Truex Jr.
And Jeff Gordon becomes the 10th different leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, now riding a 35-race winless streak. He and Jimmy Johnson, the winningest active drivers of this racetrack, they both won 5 times. Jeff Gordon's last win, as you saw a moment ago, came here just 1 year ago. For you Carl Edwards fans, we mentioned that Carl had issues with ignition problems. He's still being shown back in 37th position, 16 laps back. There is Carl. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. back in 39th spot, being in the garage area after that cut tire in contact with the wall.
Carl Edwards is going to gain a few spots after some of these cars just fell out of the race in this last wreck, so he'll gain a few more points.
Jeff Gordon stands to gain big if he can hang on and pull off the win. He restarts in first. They're back in 6th in the point standings. Greg Biffle really gaining 73 laps back of Jimmy Johnson. Biffle's got a good car as well.
Yeah, he sure does. And just before we go back green here, we talked about the other 2 cars, that David Reagan and Robbie Gordon. But Scott Riggs also got his lap back on that last deal. He had been a lap down, but it was in front of the leaders, and so he's back on the lead lap also.
73 points, I meant, for Biffle back behind the 48 car, Jimmy Johnson. We've had enough laps as it is. Here we go. Jeff Gordon leading him down.
It's really interesting to see how Jeff Gordon's car reacts out front here. We've seen as these cars get to the front, that clean air has really made a lot of difference. Mark Martin looks like he wants to lead right now.
He might take that clean air away from Jeff Gordon.
Oh, nice move. Boy, got a good run off of turn 2 and down the backstretch. Jeff's not going to give up here. You heard him say his car was a lot better on the outside than what it had been. Whoa,
that's
close.
a tough spot right there. Baby. We've seen a lot of cars get loose when they're up underneath somebody like that off the corner, but Mark's still digging.
Remember, Mark will be Jeff Gordon's teammate next year, actually after 3 more races. Trying to run for the championship one more time. Right now, they're adversaries.
That's a nice move by a veteran right there, though, being able to hold that car and stay beside of Jeff Gordon.
You got to give Jeff Gordon a little credit, too. He was giving him just enough room. He's racing him hard, but...
And look at this stampede coming behind him. Here comes Biffle, the 31 car of Burton.
Yeah, you can see Mark get loose again on the inside of Gordon there, and it really cost him. It let Martin Truex get up on the inside of Mark Martin. A little smoke there, probably from the splitter, dragging just a little bit on Mark Martin's car, but he's able to take that 2nd spot back.
I've seen that the whole race out of the 8 car. He's been hitting that splitter, getting in the corner, mainly turn 1.
Gordon back out front here. He's got about a 8-10 car length lead now. These guys have gotten single file. Greg Biffle right on the bumper, and now trying to go to the high side of Mark Martin to take the 2nd spot.
And that was the last lap for Jeff Gordon, was his fastest lap of the race, 29.80.
Now Biffle will take that spot away. Martin back to 3rd, Burton, Truex, and Kyle Busch.
That clean air is worth more than 4 stickers.
Yeah,
more new tires.
These guys in the pits are paying attention to that, aren't they, when it comes down to making these final decisions late in the race. Biffle's taking that 2nd spot.
Kyle Busch is kind of hung up behind traffic right here.
Yeah, you see our leader just a little while ago, Brian Vickers, right behind him.
These are 2 lap cars. They're now moving over for Kyle Busch, it looks like.
Yeah, David Gilliland back in the 25th position. A lap down, gets out of the way. Back up front, Jeff Gordon is the leader. Let's visit with his crew chief.
Steve, how did you guys build a car that would take such a pounding and still be this quick?
Everyone at Hedger Motorsports, they put in a great effort trying to build reliable cars. That's the only way you're going to score a lot of points. You know they're going to take a rough night, but the guys have fought all night long. Pit stops have been great. Drivers hung in there, so hopefully we can make something out of it.
So your anniversary of the last win, how good do you think the car is?
I think it's pretty good. I think we're going to need to work on it now that we're up here in the front. You know, they drive a little bit different in clean air, so hopefully these few runs here will give us a better direction. We can make some good adjustments, keep the track position towards the end.
Thanks, Steve. Great rebound so far, Doc.
And you know, I think the rebound for this team for Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon actually began in Kansas a couple of weeks ago when Jeff Gordon was so sick. He said he had never been that sick, and yet climbed in the race car, didn't complain, and drove it to a top 5 finish.
Well, he's just an ultimate competitor, really. I mean, he's a tremendous race driver, and you know one thing about it, you're going to get everything from Jeff Gordon every time he gets in there. And, you know, on that particular day, physically he didn't have as much as he normally has, but he was able to get the job done.
Just like Doc said, I think that's about the turning point for the team. They had a great car that day, and that's what kept Jeff going.
And they were so pumped up when that race was over. Steve Letarte said, how about our little gladiator in the car? What a job he had done here by getting a good finish. That 20 car of Tony Stewart was as good as on the racetrack when he was out front. But back here, guys, our expert drivers, he is struggling.
He is just, what he needs to do right now, guys, he's back in his dirty area. He can't get the downforce he needs to get the job done. What he's got to do is just search around the racetrack for better aerodynamics. I mean, he can't be following the car. He's got to do what he's doing right there. Get up on top of the racetrack. Get some momentum. Try to find where the car likes it best on the racetrack. And DJ, you well know that, man, you can move these things around and get a lot more speed out of them.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do, because the one complaint that you hear these drivers have in racing this new car is that when they get close to another car back in traffic, it really changes the balance of their car. And Tony only started 7th. We saw how quick he came through the pack to get the lead, but he's back 14 or 15 cars now, even though he's not that far back in the lineup. He's running night, but he's got a lot of lap traffic there too, and that's affecting him. So he's really going to have to move around and find that clean air.
You're absolutely right. You see him right now following Jimmy Johnson down the back straightaway here. He can't just stay on the top side of the track if he's going to pass him. He needs if Jimmy's up top or on the bottom, he's got to change lanes. Take whatever he got to do to get the air on the nose of that car to get some downforce. So what I'm about to tell you is that if he's running the high lane, don't expect him to run that lane the next lap. He's going to move his car up and down and all around, whatever it takes, lap by lap.
Yeah, you can see him going around the bottom right now. Right in front of him is our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, who is also struggling as he's back in this traffic right now. You see, go to the outside here and try to make up a little time, but this is a lap car. Dave, what are they saying in his pits?
Well, DJ, driver 48 is agreeing with Rusty right now. He just radioed to his crew and said, man, it is evil back here. He'd much rather be out running clean air.
Well, that might mean that we might look to see a little pit strategy from Chad Knaus at some point in time. He's awfully good at making decisions like that and understanding his driver from his driver that he needs to do something the next time they come down pit road.
Now, I remind you about the 20 car back in May. They did that on that final pit stop. They did not change tires to get him back out, and they lost their right front tire with 3 laps to go. They rolled the dice and lost that day, but they realized back then in May here at this racetrack that track position was so important.
You know, we see Tony Stewart taking the spot away there. He's really, as Rusty said, he's got to move his car around. But Andy, what else are we going to be able to do as a crew chief to get these guys out of this position?
One thing is if they get a long run and they get these cars where they have to make 4 tire stops, the better pit crews are going to come to the top. You'll see the cream rise to the top. And, you know, we've seen the guys that run short runs. You've got a lot of strategy options where you can just change 2 tires or no tires like we've seen a lot of guys do. But I think the best option for Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart are to go a long run here, let everything sort out and make a good, and then have a caution flag where they can get a good stop off pit road, gain a few spots. I don't think you're going to get a big chunk. I think these guys are just going to keep methodically marching. You see Tony Stewart doing that right now. And Brian Vickers, he was another one that had done that earlier in the race. We saw how he did that and finally did wind up getting the lead. But boy, he's back in traffic now. Look at that right here. This is Sam Hornish Jr. giving Tony a fit.
And typically, we've seen this rash of cautions here, one right after the other. But typically, we find a long run coming in here, and that's exactly what you're talking about. And it's not time to panic yet. We have just over 100 laps, 109 laps to go. So they're going to have to make up some time. But as you said, a four-tire stop would kind of equalize things and get them to the position they're looking for.
Jeff Gordon back to a racetrack that has been very good to him on his career. Over his career, in fact, it was right here 1 year ago that he claimed his last victory.